Hello and welcome to another Red Gaming Tech video of myself and Marta, where today we're going to be reviewing the 1MORE Spearhead VRX gaming headset. Now, one thing I do want to get out of the way before we actually get into the review is that this is not a sponsored video. However, we were sent this product to review, so do just keep that in mind throughout this video. But all opinions are our own. Let's start things off with what you're obviously going to notice first, the aesthetic. Of course, if this product was sitting on a store shelf, the first thing you're going to notice is the look of the box. There's not a huge amount to say here after all, it's a box, but there are some things worth touching on. The box is very easy to open and get into, and when you open it up you'll notice some snazzy drawings on the left which denote some of the headset's features. The headset is of course proudly displayed through clear plastic and is held firmly in place with Velcro strips. The box also contains some accessories, a carrying bag, manual, 3.5mm jack, and micro USB to USB cable. But the question of course is, what about the look of the headset itself? Now of course this is a very subjective and personal thing, but I really like the overall look and feel of the 1MORE Spearhead VRX. Some gaming headsets can look a bit tacky and overdone with designs, decals or other such things in an attempt to look cool or premium, and while the Spearhead does have some extra bells and whistles here which we'll get into later, overall it keeps a sleek and simple design. The overall look is one of black, silver and grey with the logo stamped on the connection joint for each earphone, and speaking of, you'll undoubtedly notice a strip going around the circumference of each earphone. And yes, this is for LEDs, but we'll get to this later. Overall though, there is nothing garish or cheap looking about the headset. This is clearly a premium product with a design to match. The main standout thing, other than the LEDs, is the silver metal band going across the top of the headset just above the headband itself. This, while adding a fairly nice touch to the overall look and feel of the headset, shows the outer bounds of how far the headset can stretch. You may notice the headset is lacking the usual method of stretching out a headset like this, and there is no way to lock in your preferred sizing. The headset simply stretches to fit you and your comfort each time you wear it. There is one other thing which you may have noticed. There is a retractable microphone which can also be lit up with the LEDs. The fact that it's retractable is rather nice. It means that in theory it could be used as an ordinary set of headphones, although I doubt you'd want to, given the price tag. It also means it won't get in the way if you just want some voice chat free gaming time. You may also notice that the inputs on the back of the left-hand earphone, one for the 3.5mm jack and one for the micro USB. You can also see an on and off switch for the mic itself, so if the game you're playing doesn't allow you to mute yourself, have no fear, the headset has you covered. There's also a volume control wheel, and if you press this in before you spin it, you can also control the level of bass being output through the earphones themselves. Speaking of the earphones, these also continue the premium look and feel of the device. Now, naturally, throughout the period of reviewing this, I tested this across various different devices, and of course across extended periods of time to see whether or not it got uncomfortable after a couple of hours of wear, as you might be wearing them for some time, especially if you're getting to some really lengthy matches. But I'm happy to report I had absolutely no issues with the comfort, and I'd even go so far as to say that this is the most comfortable headset or even pair of headphones that I have personally worn. So let's move on to the meat and potatoes, the features and the sound quality. Now there's a surprising amount to get into with the features, so I'm actually going to make a start there. The Spearhead VRX comes with its own drivers, naturally, and its own program where its various features can be controlled and customised. Here is where we'll really explore what the 1MORE Spearhead VRX has to offer. The one that most people are probably interested in here is most likely to control for the LEDs. As mentioned before, the strips going around the circumference of the earphones, the microphone, and the logo on the band itself all light up in whatever colour you choose. Here you have quite the suite of choices, with a steady light, breathing mode, heartbeat, and a flashing rainbow as the options available. You also have an extensive colour palette to choose from, as well as of course your basic colours. But if you want your headset to glow just that little bit lilac, you can do exactly that. You can also do what I'm sure some of you may be wondering. You can turn off the LEDs entirely, or you can simply reduce their brightness if you prefer. Going back to the main screen, you can also control the volume of the audio and microphone audio here as well as the vibration feature. For those of you who are toying with getting this as part of your YouTube or Twitch setup, it is nice to have controls here without having to go into OBS or XSplit. Of course, this is just on your end rather than the viewer end, but it is still nice to have, and don't forget, you also have direct control over the volume and bass on the headset itself. But there's also more. We also have an equalizer available with a whole host of preset audio settings, including one tailored specifically for gaming. There's yet again a rather nice selection of options for you to choose from here, but personally speaking, I found the gaming preset a good all-rounder for music, TV and gaming. But naturally, if you're so inclined, you can tweak each individual setting yourself to get the audio just right. You can also save your settings if you wish, just so you don't have to worry about setting it up and fiddling around with audio sliders more than you have to. Now, I'm sure this will please the audiophiles of you out there, but there is one feature that I want to discuss here. And I have left the oddest one of our trio here for last, which is the head tracking. I'm sure your curiosity was immediately piqued by this, and it ties into the 7.1 surround sound offered by the VRX. Now, it must be said that the enhanced features such as the LED control and the head tracking are only available if you have the micro USB plugged in. The manual directly warns you not to have both the 3.5mm jack and the USB plugged in at the same time due to a potential driver conflict, but obviously this does mean that the USB cable also delivers sound as well. So if you have a limited amount of USB slots available for whatever reason, perhaps you've got all your keyboard and mouse and that set up and you just don't have that much breathing room there, you do want to keep this in mind that if you don't have enough space for the USB, you are going to be missing out on these features. But let's go back to the head tracking. It is pretty simple to set up and took me less than a couple of minutes to actually figure out that, yep, this is all working just fine. You make sure it's all plugged in via the USB, you go into the menu, you tilt your head, you see the digital facsimile of you moving its head around, and you can see that, yep, it's all working. And once you get into a game or film, because as I have said, this headset also brings impressive results to film as well, you will find the results immediately palpable and rather impressive. The sound quality of the VRX is nothing short of superb, and the head tracking definitely goes hand in hand with this. It offers a true 7.1 surround experience, with the ability to turn your head and have certain sounds intensify or quieten down. Just for example, one of the games I tested this on was Tomb Raider, and I must admit it really took the sound to the next level and turned my head and hear the crackle of a nearby fire draw closer. Or of course, because this is Tomb Raider, you're in a cave and you turn your head and you can see you can hear the water dripping over here, but you can just hear the far off wind in this area, and it just really added that extra level of immersion that definitely really impressed me more than I expected it to. Not only does this add a really nice touch to your immersion, as I just said, it can also come in handy for figuring out where that pesky enemy is that's shooting at you. I tested this out with Doom, and I must say it actually came in handy. Of course, it's not what I call a necessity by any means, but it's a really nice extra touch that adds another level to the overall excellent sound quality offered by the headset. Now, of course, as I've mentioned, using this on various different devices, including my TV, phone, and of course watching films and on a console as well, this does work outside of games. Now this does add a really nice extra layer to films, as I said, especially have a really nice bombastic soundtrack, lots of explosions going on around your head. It can really take that film experience to the next level, especially with that head tracking. I did find it personally a little off-putting to have it on while listening to music. This is a very personal thing, very subjective. It might just be me who was bothered by this, but it was a little off to kind of turn my head and have the music only through this ear and then kind of have the same if you turn your head the other way. I personally would say turn it off if you're just using it to listen to music, but I would not be surprised to see most of you leave it on and just not be all that bothered by it, really. It's a very personal thing that I found not really bad, just a little off-putting, I guess I would say. If for whatever reason, though, you do want the head tracking turned off entirely, even within games, you are missing out on an extra level of coolness and an extra sort of a bump up in immersion and a really nice depth to that 7.1, as I already said. You aren't missing out on the true meat of what the headset has to offer here, and you are still getting a really nice sound experience. Everything is crisp and clear, and you still get a really nice 7.1 surround feel, even without that extra feature. And I definitely felt the difference in quality between this and my usual headphones by Sennheiser. It's hard to put into words how much more immersed I felt with this versus the sound coming through the TV or my usual headphones. But let's move on to the headset's use outside of PC gaming. As I've said before, I've used this on numerous devices, including my PC, TV, phone, and consoles. Obviously, the phone worked just fine without any issue, but naturally it was just being used as headphones here due to it being connected with the 3.5mm jack. An odd thing I did notice here is that I couldn't actually use the volume slider to control the volume directly, but that may have been a quirk of the phone or even apps I used rather than the headset itself. Even if it was the headset, while it was an annoyance, it's hardly a hardship to use the volume controls on my phone or on the app. The headset happily also worked just fine with the PS4, again via the 3.5mm jack plugged into the DualShock controller. Once I got into the menu and done a very slight tweak to the settings, I was receiving full menu and game audio, and I was able to make use of the microphone as well. As you might expect, it was a similar story on the Xbox One. Now of course you can't make use of the head tracking feature outside of PC due to not being plugged in for the USB, but again the 7.1 surround crisp quality sound really does help out here, even if you're just using a console for a night of Netflix and chill. In short, the VRX can be used on both console and PC, which I suspect is the two main usage scenarios I'm going to be seeing here in the comments. Now, the PC user is undoubtedly getting the better end of the deal here, given that they have access to a bunch more features like the LEDs and head tracking that the console user just isn't going to get due to having to plug in via the 3.5mm jack. But at the end of the day, what you really want here is good sound quality, not only for the earphones, but of course the microphone, and happily, it delivers even for the console user. But I know this question has been on your mind this whole video, and I'm finally going to get to it. What about the price? How much does it actually cost? And well, it's going to be $199.99 US, and £189.99 is also going to be the same in euros as well. It's not exactly cheap, but where you're really expecting it to be with a headset so stuffed full of features. And given how much a really high-end set of headphones or headset can actually run you, while you're not exactly going to find the money for this down the back of the sofa, if you ask me, you are definitely getting what you pay for here. Of course, whether or not it's worth the money is so subjective, it's really hard to say what's good value to me is not good value to you, but I would argue that you definitely are getting more than your money's worth here with the amount of stuff that the VRX brings to the table. Overall though, what I liked here is that yes, the headset comes with a bunch of extra bells and whistles that add to the already great quality. But the strongest point for this device is the foundation that it's built on, the lovely 7.1 surround sound. What you want at the end of the day is two things in my opinion in a headset: comfort and good sound. Everything else is extra. But they're really nice extras that definitely take the headset to another level. But just to give an example, if it had all of those things, but poor sound quality, it wouldn't really be all that worth it, would it? But as I've hammered home multiple times now, that just isn't the case here. The sound is crisp, clear, and the 3D audio and head tracking truly kicks the immersion for games and films into high gear. The Spearhead VRX from 1MORE comes at a premium price, yes, but you get at the end of it a premium product. So to answer the TLDR question here is, would I recommend this? The answer is yes, I absolutely would. Again, it's very hard to define what is good value for you, but for me, you definitely get what you're paying for here. Again, I would definitely recommend this headset. If you are looking for a gaming headset, I would definitely recommend this headset. You know, the microphone quality is also good as well. I compared it to my usual Blue Snowball ICE, and I will put in some audio comparisons here.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This is a test on the 1MORE Spearhead VRX headset. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This is a test on my usual mic, the Blue Snowball ICE. 1, 2, 3.
And if you ask me, it more than stood its own. Of course, it's not going to compare to a microphone that's, well, just a microphone, but it's way better quality than most gaming headsets actually have to offer. And the sound, again, is really good. That pretty much wraps up my thoughts, though, for the 1MORE Spearhead VRX. Thank you so much for watching. Your support really does mean a huge deal. Do click that subscribe and like button if you haven't done so already. And we also are on Patreon as well. Even if you don't end up donating or what have you, do know that each of your likes, views, subscribes really does make a huge difference, and we really appreciate all of your support. In the comments and the description below, you will find some Amazon affiliate links where if you buy anything throughout those links, even if it's not the headset, we are going to receive a small commission, so do keep that in mind. But even if you just watched this video, thank you so much, and see you next time. Bye bye.